not want to have a serious conversation about race in America, nor does President Obama. These two went to Al Sharpton's annual convention to have a conversation about race.
But how is that not having a serious conversation?
Does Al Sharpton strike you as the type of person you turn to have a sober, considered discussion of race in this matter? I would submit that you go to Al Sharpton when you want to have exactly the opposite conversation.
All right, folks, Jason Riley, we had him on the show just last week, and there he was with Don Lemon on CNN. Welcome to Give Me Five. Don Lemon is now actually going to stick up for Al Sharpton. Don Lemon, who made remarks about the Nation or the Nation of Islam or the Fruit of Islam, their newspaper, how he buys it every day from guys on the corner, how he loved an issue that he read most recently about abuse in our prison system, and he wore a bow tie once, and he had to go out of his way to say, now there's no political implications here, it was just from an event. Don Lemon's got, you know, very obvious political leanings, and to defend Al Sharpton, it either shows ignorance of Al Sharpton's past, or, you know, he's trying to okey doke us, as Barack Obama might say. Here's more.
I don't really know that. Listen, listen, Al Sharpton is on a different network, and I don't always agree with the Reverend Al Sharpton, but the Reverend Al Sharpton has been very outspoken in many ways, has helped a lot of people, and the last time he ran for president, he was actually one of the most sober-sounding people in the arena. That's among Democrats and Republicans.
He's one of the most racially divisive people in this country. You do not go to Al Sharpton to help bring people together racially in America.
Is Al Sharpton one of the most racially divisive or divisive people in the country, or do people make him out to be that way in certain ways? Because if you bring up someone like an Al Sharpton, the right goes, oh my gosh, there it is, there goes Al Sharpton.
No,
is he made out to be the boogeyman?
Made out to be the boogeyman? Maybe Don Lemon doesn't understand, and he's too young to realize, although I believe he went to Brooklyn College. How about the Crown Heights riots? How about Freddie's white interloper? How about Greek homos? To an openly gay anchor, that should be of interest. Greek homos? How about calling David Dinkins the N-word? Does Don Lemon know any of this? More.
I think the former. I think this is the agenda that the black left pushes, that racism is an all-purpose explanation for what ails black America. The question is why Holder is making these statements and making them now. And he's making them for political reasons. The Democrats are concerned about turnout among minorities in November. They have not had a lot to offer this group of people in terms of policy. If you look at unemployment rates, if you look at how the economy is doing, all they have to offer here are scaremongering, scaring them to the polls.
All right, scaring them to the polls. Now we get another viewpoint on Al Sharpton. Watch.
Al Sharpton has lived many decades, and I think that you have to take every human being and look at the totality of their life and say that it has not always been perfect, but there are good parts and bad parts, and we can have conversations with this person, whoever they are. And I think that is a proper way to look at any human being.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course, they would say the same about a white person who has that racial history in reverse, wouldn't they? Here's Don Lemon.
I think if you listen sometimes to the Reverend Al Sharpton and others, and if you read what they actually say instead of just the headline or just the rhetoric that comes from the opposition, I think that many people will find that sometimes Al Sharpton does make sense. He's not always, as Charles Willis said, he's not always a bad person when it comes to race. Sometimes he's actually right on the money.
Well, I'm not talking about his personal character. I don't know him personally. I'm talking about the public policies that he's promoting on behalf of blacks and whether or not they've helped or harmed blacks in this country. That's what I'm talking about, and I strongly disagree with what he's pushed in the name of helping blacks in this country.
Now, Don Lemon and you could bet would not give it, like I said, a white person with that racial history the same, oh, you got to look at his whole life. But watch this.
And we also have to look at the kind of systemic historical nature of racial bias, and we cannot divorce that from present behavior. We cannot divorce that from present outcomes. And once we look at the totality of all of those things, then we can make a rational decision about whether or not these things are helpful to black people and people in general.
I've got to run, but I think that's why I made my point what I did about Reverend Al Sharpton. I think people throw people's names in there as a sort of, you know, as a hot button issue. Go, oh my gosh, but we can't, and you can't always do that. As Charles was saying, you have to take people on the totality of their argument.
Oh, yes, and I left out the totality part. Tawana Brawley